todo el mundo, bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Sirey. Soy una abogada afro-latina licenciada practicando las leyes criminales, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a hablar del caso de Anthony Hare. Si quieres más video en español, nada más dime allá abajo. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed and practicing Afro-Latina criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, today's going to be a rather short video as well. I know I've said that for the last few videos, but I do like to do a combination of like super in-depth, deep dives, and then quick little stories that ended in an unexpected way or a plea agreement that we can still just talk about. This actually didn't result in any criminal charges, but I wanted to talk to you guys about it nonetheless. This is a case, or a story, I guess, of a police officer who decided that getting his peen dipped in a bottle of Aquafina was worth losing his career forever. This is the case. This is the story of former police officer Anthony Hare. On August 15th of 2023, several San Diego police officers were responding to assist in the arrest of two persons suspected of car theft. As I'm sure you can imagine, amongst those officers was the officer that we're talking about in this story, Officer Anthony Hare. At the time that Officer Hare responded, he was merely an officer for about 2 years. The two suspects were one male and one female, or at least I think it's one male, but it doesn't even matter because the female is the one that we're going to be paying attention to in this story. Officer Hare was asked to transport the female suspect to police headquarters and then eventually take her to the detention center. While driving this woman to police headquarters and with his body camera on, Officer Hare had a rather interesting conversation. It went a little something like this. The woman asked Officer Hare, "Are you married?" To which Officer Hare responded, "Why are you asking that?" The woman says, "You're not too bad. What's it gonna hurt me if I work the system? You know what I mean? That's the way I see shit." In the middle of this conversation, and while still driving to police headquarters, body-worn camera footage picked up several suspicious sounds, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'll just say it. They picked up moans. There were moans and groans going on. The woman then asks Officer Hare, "Are you single?" To which Officer Hare responds, "Yeah, but you're not." And then the conversation quickly turned illicit. But let me just stop right there for 2 seconds before we get into the rest of this conversation. Because I'm sure we all get hit on in our professions. Okay? Now, when people say to me, like in a courtroom, "Hey, Desiree, are you single? I find you attractive?" Whatever. I don't even respond to them questions. I'm not gonna say, "Yes, I'm single. No, I'm not single. Yes, I got a man." No, it's none of your business because I'm here in a professional capacity. So for him to respond, "Yes, but you're not," is odd. But let's carry on. The woman then tells Officer Hare that she's DTF, or down to expletive. Officer Hare then responds, wait, don't say that right now. Don't say that right now. Because everything is being recorded. So don't say that right now. Don't say that right now. Why would it matter if it's being recorded, Officer Hare? It's interesting. Officer Hare then asked the woman what she's doing in the back seat before pulling over his police cruiser, parking it in a dark alley, going into the back seat with her, and then closing the door so the two of them could bang. I'm sorry. Okay, if you guys aren't aware of this, I'm sure you can probably imagine. The backseat of a police car is literally like childproofed. Like you can't get out from the inside. And that's because mostly suspects are in the backseat of a police car. So this dummy locked himself in the backseat of his police cruiser and had to call someone else to try to help him get out after he was done sticking his little peen in some Aquafine fiend. Okay, so then Hare calls a cop buddy and he explains to the cop buddy that he needs the master key to the car because he locked himself in the back seat. I'm telling you, this buddy asked 197,000 questions. What are you doing back there? Why were you back there? Who was back there with you? Why would you be back there? How'd you get locked? All these questions until finally Officer Hare's sergeant responded. When his sergeant responded, he questioned him, "Bro, what are you doing back there?" To which Officer Hare lied and said that the female detainee was suffering from a medical issue. When the sergeant questioned him about why his body-worn camera wasn't turned on, he said that he had knocked it off when getting in the cruiser. So an investigation commences, and then they have a conversation with the woman who was in the backseat of the cruiser with Officer Hare. She's a real one because she's like, you know what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing inappropriate happened. You know? Anyways, they did further investigation and they tested his clothing to find that semen was on his belt. Even as a part of their investigation into him, they asked Officer Hare to reenact everything that happened. And what he did was literally tomfoolery.
Okay, you mind just showing us?
How you did it? I was like this, and then you want me to see how she was laying down, or
How you ended up inside?
so like yeah, so she was laying down, her face was over there, and then I was just like kind of right here. I was like, hey, well, at first I was like, hey, wake up. I was like, hey, you okay? Blah blah blah. She like so her head was facing towards that way, and then so this is when I was shaking her, and then this is when I went in, but then I don't know if I had my hand like this, and then something like that happened. Shaking it with my foot like that, and then I was in, and then I was waking her up like this. I was like this, waking her up. While I was waking her up, I hear the door click behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so yeah, I was like this, and then when I found out the door was clicked behind me, I positioned myself like this, and I already knew that there was no door handle, but I was just like frantic. I was like, I can't get out of here.
Okay.
And then that's when she was able to sit up here, and then I told her you can stay there, blah blah blah. And then I was just like hunkered down like this on my
Okay.
side.
So let me go to the other side, then you climb back in.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Opened the door, and then as I came in like that, I was trying to wake her up. My feet wasn't this. My feet didn't get caught like that. And then when I was like waking her up, that's when I noticed that this door closed on me. And then that's when I was like frantic trying to open the door, but I know there's no door opener. And then from then she was able to. So I was like this majority of the time. I was trying to get her up because her face was right here,
Okay.
and then I was trying to like wake her up to get her up. And then next thing you know, I hear the door close on me. I was frantic. I was looking, and then that's when she started to kind of like, I guess, wake up or get dazed off, whatever. And then that's when I asked her like, "Hey, are you having a hard time breathing?" She said, "No." "Do you need medics?" "No." I was like, "Okay, all right, just stay right there." And then that's when I was trying to open the door.
Okay.
And then that's when I went on D2.
All right, you can jump up.
Explain to me, Tony, how is it that you got all the way into the car with her laying down?
It
Get
was
her up.
it was
Explain that.
I was trying to get her up because she was a heavy girl,
Okay.
so I was trying to like lift her up to sit her
Okay.
down,
Okay.
and then but yes, it was a tight squeeze in there. So then I think that's how somehow maybe my leg.
Because that means that your torso, your butt, your legs, and your feet are completely inside the car
Yeah,
with
I was
her?
kind of like, I can show. I wish I could show you if you were in the patrol car, but
Okay.
yeah, I was in there
We'll have you
because I
do
was
that.
trying
We'll
to.
do that in a
Yeah,
little bit. So you got into the back of a patrol car, and then somehow through hitting the door, meaning when you kind of push it to open it, it kind of rebounds and closes back on you.
correct. Yes.
Is that what you're saying? You think?
Correct, yes.
I have problems with your story, Tony, and I want to make sure if there was something that you forced her, if she consented and said, "Hey, there's going to be, I'll do this or you do that," we can have a good time. If there's a consent,
she did not
or
say anything.
something you forced yourself on her.
She did not say anything like, "Hey, if I do this for you, let me go." She did not, and even if she did say something like that, I believe I just.
If she said something and you said, "Hey, don't say that right now because it's recording," you remember that?
I remember her saying something like, "Hey, I'm on right now," because whatever.
I'm on what? I'm on what? What do you mean?
Oh, like my camera. I think I mentioned because I don't know. There was one thing where she said, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was talking with the family issue or whatever, or if she's asking if I was single. But that was the only thing. Was like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know I'm recording right now." That's it. But
okay, so if she were to say something in a sexual comment, and you were to say something like, "Hey, don't say that right now, it's recording," or it's whatever, you don't remember that, you're saying, because I just talked to you about all that and you said no, but I could tell you for a fact.
no, I mean, I remember saying something like that I'm on. Now that you mentioned it, because I did.
And what did she say? What did she say, Tony?
That I don't remember. I would have to look at my BWC again to see what exactly she said. That I promise I don't remember what she said.
So, in continuation of their investigation, they planned for an interrogation to take place on September 15th of 2023. But do you know what happened the day prior, on September 14th of 2023? Any guesses? Right. Officer Hare resigned from his position. Okay, so because I know you guys are brilliant, absolutely smart, and super intelligent, you've heard of the term post certification before. Okay, all police officers need to be post certified. That's just what it is. Post certification, once it is ripped from you, you can never regain it. So once an officer has post certification completely stripped from them, they can never be a police officer anywhere else ever again. I'm telling you that because Officer Hare was the subject of a post investigation. So they did an investigation into him. And I'm going to read to you their findings because it was rather interesting. The case summary states, in November 2023, the San Diego Police Department submitted a serious misconduct complaint to Post against SDPD officer Anthony W. Hare, hereafter referred to as respondent, alleging that he was dishonest with his reporting relating to his actions following the arrest of a female for an outstanding warrant. SDPD investigated and sustained the allegations. Following Post's investigation and review, Post found by clear and convincing evidence that reasonable grounds existed for consideration of revocation pursuant to Penal Code 13510.8. A summary of the investigative findings of the divisions are as follows. On August 14th, 2023, respondent arrested and detained a female for an outstanding warrant. During transport to the detention center, the detainee engaged respondent in conversation in a sexual nature. Prior to arriving at the detention center, respondent parked his patrol unit on a residential side street, turned off his body-worn camera, falsely notified dispatch that he had arrived at the detention center, and entered the rear passenger compartment with the female detainee, inadvertently locking himself in with her. Respondent and detainee were eventually extricated from the vehicle by another San Diego Police Department officer. A criminal investigation was initiated by SDPD, followed by an administrative investigation to determine if respondent engaged in sexual misconduct with the female. On September 14th, 2023, the respondent resigned from SDPD one day before his scheduled administrative interrogation. Analysis and findings. The respondent's conduct violated Penal Code Section 13510.8, B1, and Title 11, California Code of Regulations, Section 1205A1, dishonesty. Penal Code Section 13510.8B1 and Commission Regulation 1205A1 defines dishonesty as relating to the reporting, investigation, or prosecution of a crime, or relating to the reporting of or investigation of misconduct by a peace officer or custodial officer, including but not limited to false statements, intentionally filing false reports, tampering with, falsifying, destroying, or concealing evidence, perjury, and tampering with data recorded by a body-worn camera or other recording device for purposes of concealing misconduct. It further states, the respondent was dishonest with SDPD personnel, criminal investigators, and in his written arrest report as he created a false narrative that the female had a medical emergency, necessitating him to enter the rear passenger compartment with her. During her interview, the female related that the respondent told other officers that she wasn't breathing as an excuse to get into the back passenger compartment. The respondent's misconduct violated Penal Code Section 13510.8B4 and Title 11 California Code of Regulations, Section 1205A4, sexual assault. It says the statute names and numbers again, but they define sexual assault as the commission or attempted initiation of a sexual act with a member of the public, any person employed by the officer's employing agency, and includes any participation in a cadet, explorer, or other youth program affiliated with the agency, by means of force, threat, coercion, extortion, offer of leniency or other official favor, or under the color of authority. For purposes of this definition, the propositioning for or commission of any sexual act while on duty is considered a sexual assault. It further states, the female propositioned the respondent and offered sexual intercourse. The respondent diverted from the detention center, parked on a dark residential street, and turned off his patrol vehicle's headlights and parking lights, further concealing his location. After the respondent's BWC, or body-worn camera, was removed and placed on the driver's seat, he entered the rear passenger compartment with the female, closing the door behind him. The outcome states, the Peace Officer Standards Accountability Division determined that reasonable grounds existed to seek revocation of the respondent's certification in this case. A notice of intent to revoke was served on May 16, 2024. The respondent did not file a request for review within the 30-day response period, pursuant to Penal Code Section 13510.85A2, thus resulting in default revocation of the respondent's certification with no further proceedings. On July 23, 2024, the default order was issued and served on the respondent. The respondent, Anthony W. Hare's peace officer certification was revoked on July 23rd of 2024. Okay, you guys, I was so excited to tell you guys about this story that I forgot to mention that the female detainee also had an outstanding warrant. Okay, so they got called out to respond to two people suspected of car thefts. One of the people, being the female detainee, also had an outstanding warrant. So he was transporting her for that purpose, but also because there were suspects for car thefts. Got it? Now, let's talk a little bit more about the charges. As I said, I don't believe any criminal charges actually resulted from former officer Hare's conduct, but they did look into it, apparently according to this post-certification, and they found that none were appropriate. I wanted to talk to you guys about this case because, again, I see the level of deference that people give to people in positions of authority. This was a funny case, at least from my perspective, because there was no death. No one was harmed. There was no crime, like actual crime. He didn't sexually assault her. They were both consenting adults. And this is just one, I feel like, in a lighthearted manner that we can kind of laugh about. And it's a gross deviation from all of the tragedies that we commonly discuss on this channel. This was just a light-spirited case, a little fluffery, a little sprinkle and bedazzle that we're going to insert here for just some lighthearted fun. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this story. Do you want more stories like this? Let me know your opinions down below. as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.